We had Ian. His birth date is January 6th of 2008, and when he was born with the cord around his neck, and he was blue at that time. So once they undid the cord and everything and put him under a light and whatnot, they believed that he was absolutely fine. Went home about our business, and it was January, so it was winter, and Ian was always seemed cold, and my husband and I, Brad and I, we just had this innate feeling that there was something more going on. And then there was one night where he started to turn blue on us, his fingers and around his mouth, and that started to turn blue. And he would never suck on a pacifier either for us and such. So I took him in again the next day, and this was he's a little over a month old at that time, and pediatrician then decided to put a finger oximeter on him, and it read 65. We drove directly to the hospital. It was kind of chaos. It was chaos. You know, I had this infant, and we were sent to a room. We weren't even sent to the ER where they had already admitting him and everything, so we were sent to a room. He had both of his great arteries on one side, and the plumbing was goofed up, and he had 2 holes in his heart.
So Ian was diagnosed after birth with a somewhat complicated heart defect that initially, despite having this heart defect, you actually can look good and go home from the hospital. In Ian, all of his abnormalities were when the blood leaves the heart, so the outflow tracts. And if you don't look, then you're not going to see that. The name of his heart defect is something called Taussig-Bing anomaly. That consists of a large hole between the bottom chambers of the heart, and we call that a ventricular septal defect. You need surgery. He would not have thrived and would have died of a complication of congestive heart failure probably in the first 6 months of life, and that's what would have happened in a third world country. But we know that, and so he presented sick with significant heart failure, and so needed a fairly urgent operation.
I can remember asking the surgeon at that time, because me, quality is my background, if I should be getting a second opinion, you know, or what, you know, it's my child and his life, and he had told me that the only second opinion I could get from was the guy upstairs at that point in time, so I just told him he better not mess it up.
Well, it's kind of been difficult in a way, a little bit, but in the other sense, it's kind of just normal in a way for me now. With these difficult things are kind of just normal. My name is Ian Kushel. I am 13 years old. I go to the Milton Middle School. I have a heart disease called Taussig-Bing. Basically, what Taussig-Bing is my heart was. Both main sides of the heart were on the same side, and the side that needed oxygen was getting blood, and the side that needed blood was getting oxygen. It was probably first grade, but I definitely knew I had issues in third grade when it was kind of funny. We had reading buddies in third grade. We would have to read to the kindergartners, and I remember the kindergartner could almost read better than I could.
I think we recognized that maybe his anger and his frustration was related to something else. Actually, I think it was really at that point that he was diagnosed with dyslexia, which, you can't read if you're dyslexic, and that had been missed.
So it was second or third grade. I asked for an assessment to be done, and he had just, was just on the okay side, and everything. So he wasn't going to get any more than he was already getting, is what they had told me. And it just didn't sit. It just didn't sit right.
I met Ian Kushel and his mother, Bernadine, when they came into clinic for his cardiac checkup. At the time that we met, Bernadine had already requested a 504 evaluation. Bernadine had heard from the school that they didn't really see that he would qualify for a 504 plan, so Bernadine was very nervous whether or not he could get supports. She was very anxious about the school's sort of hesitancy to consider Ian for support services.
So I'm not saying that we didn't get assistance. We did get assistance, but I just felt that there could have been more done. And through their assessment that they performed, it didn't show that they should be doing any more than what they were currently doing. So that's where my frustration just came in. You know, I mean, not just, I don't want to put anybody under the bus, but I was straight up told to my face that there were other kids that needed more help than Ian.
I told her we knew what we were doing, that in my eyes he could clearly qualify, and I thought it was just a matter of explaining to the school how his health condition was impacting him physically, mentally, and emotionally in a school environment, and relate that to the struggles that they may be seeing in the classroom. And once we made that connection, I felt very confident that we'd be able to get him some support services, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, before they all knew that I had a heart condition, they all acknowledged that I had it, but other than that, I didn't really get any more help than anyone else really did. I definitely was not understanding things, and at the time I was a lot more shy and I wouldn't really ask questions as much. And I think because of that, I wouldn't really ask questions to help with the things that I needed help with.
So at that very first meeting, the last day of the school year, Ian qualified for a 504 plan. We set up the plan at that time, but since it was the last day of the school year, we weren't going to be able to implement anything until the next school year.
I was really fortunate to get to know Ian prior to the start of the school year. His team actually required that we have a meeting prior to the start of the school year just based on his previous medical conditions. And so as part of being a new teacher, I took that opportunity to get to meet him and the rest of his team, his mom as well. And that kind of gave me a nice kind of baseline knowledge of Ian's background story and a lot of the things that he had to persevere through in order to get to where he is today.
Well, I definitely, once they started saying, I guess the things that they could do for me, I definitely started having a lot more hope in a sense of I may actually be able to get help with everything that I'm struggling with, and all my issues may just, in a way, wash away.
The parents who have done the most for just the world of special education, the history of special education, are the ones who are just trying to get what's right for their student. So to be able to have an organization like that and connect with the families and connect with the student in the school, again, talk about the triangulated support. There's a whole nother system for that individual student to be able to succeed.
I mean, his grades went from, through the program, getting the assistance and everything, from being so low to A's and B's. It was just incredible.
It was kind of a whirlwind first year with our support services for Ian, because we went in about a 7 or 8 month period from no supports to a 504 and then to an IEP. So it all happened really fast, but he ended the year really shining and he's just blossomed since then.
I mean, this has given him so much self-confidence, and he's so appreciative of it. I don't believe he'd have that. He'd still be struggling in all areas. I'm not just talking school. I think he'd be struggling socially, and here as a family, we'd still be struggling too.
Now that I have it, it's definitely taken a lot of weight off of her shoulders, my dad's shoulders, my sister's shoulders, everyone in my family's shoulders. And it's just helped more than I could even put into words.